What's up? It's Billy Briz, aka at Getting Bills on Twitter, joined by my main man Brady, aka DFS by the numbers, and then El Hector. I guess that means the Hector in Spanish, but I'm gonna keep it like that. El Hector, aka at Capo Capping on Twitter, aka the $250,000 man. How you guys feeling today?
Pretty good. It's been a busy day, man, but ready to get through this show, get through my other show, and then hit the gym and then go to sleep.
Not bad,
El
not bad.
Hector.
Chilling, man. Feels like a Sunday to me. I'm a little lazy today, but I got my double cup here, so I'm ready to attack.
Oh man, that's why I know you don't play some basketball, man. It's been a grind out here in these streets. But let's start it off. First game of the slate: Cincinnati Bengals versus the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens 6.5 point favorites. Over under here is 46.5. To be honest with you, when I looked at this game pre-flop, I thought that was a low over/under considering how high scoring that the Bengals and Raven games have been involved in so far. What are your guys' pre-flop thoughts on this one? Definitely a game that I have a lot of interest in. I'm going to start off with Brady. What are you looking at in this Cincinnati Baltimore game?
Yeah, so I was really high on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens last week, and they definitely screwed me, and I'm sure a lot of other people. So they scored 34 scored 34 points. Lamar Jackson only had 13. The reason being, I think like three different running backs on the Ravens all scored a touchdown. So I'm actually thinking about going back to Lamar Jackson. You have Bateman, who is very cheap this week. I think he's going to be popular because it makes it very easy to fit him into your lineups. It allows you to do other things. So I'm liking Lamar Jackson. I'm liking Bateman, and I don't mind going back to Brown or Andrews in this spot. But yeah, mostly Bateman is probably my favorite play in this entire game. He's just so cheap, and we saw 6 targets in his very first game back. I think he's going to build off that, have an even better game, hopefully.
Two injury news. We're going to go to the injury news as we're going through the games. Two injury news for this game that I thought that were really important. Latavius Murray, starting running back for the Ravens, is going to be out for this week. And also Sammy Watkins with a pulled hamstring. So I definitely do feel you on the Rashad Bateman love. I will definitely be having him in Hollywood Brown in some of my lineups with Sammy Watkins being hurt. Oh, Hector, what are you looking at in this game?
I'm very interested in this game as well. I also went heavy on the Ravens last week. I had Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews in almost all my lineups. It was a good look, except the running backs stole all the road to glory. They stole it. It's all good though. So for this game, I'm very interested on the Bengals side. I think they're like it's kind of weird because I looked at like the first half team total on the Bengals, and it's only at 9.5, and they they're gonna have a good balanced offense this week. You can run against the Ravens, and I was trying to figure out which wide receiver I want, and Jamar Chase
Definitely
is
Jamar
the
Chase.
obvious answer. But I started looking into T. Higgins a lot. I didn't realize that he missed a couple weeks, so I just did the air yards from the weeks he played. I believe it was week one, week two, 5 and 6, and he actually had one more. And in those weeks combined, he actually had one more target than Jamar Chase. I'm very interested in him this week. I already tossed on his over 4.5 reception prop. He is also one of Burrow's favorite red zone targets. He's number 2 on the list. Jamar Chase is 1. So I'm interested in T. Higgins for sure.
You there, Billy? So what's up, Hector? How you doing? Billy, you good, man? I see him. Oh, okay. So let's just move on to the next game. Well, let's talk about let's see what we got here. Let's talk about Atlanta, Miami. Anything sticking out to you on this one?
Oh man, that game is interesting because like the scouting report on the Miami side is a little. We don't have that much of a scouting report on Tua. What he played 2 games so far.
Yeah.
About they were able to move the ball surprisingly well last week. Yes, it was against the Jaguars, but We'll see. They're starting to use Gaskins like a receiver the past couple weeks, so I'm definitely interested in him. And that's about it.
What's up, Billy? We're
I
talking
really
about
like
the
Mike Gesicki in this spot. Yeah, no, my thing was I had the optimizer up for NBA, but I like Mike Gesicki in this spot. And then you noted on Wednesday Calvin Ridley in this spot. I feel like those are the two guys that you really want to target in this game. How about you, Brady?
Yeah, I'm thinking I don't mind some Tua stacks. Like he's cheap, right? 5,500
Nah,
going against
I can't.
Atlanta. He's cheap threw the ball 47 times last week, and Waddle's there 5,600. You know how high I was on Waddle like 2 weeks ago, very high on him, and then he comes back last week and just goes off 13 targets, 10 receptions. Like where the hell was this a couple weeks ago,
Yeah,
Waddle?
when we played him right in cash.
Yeah, like I would have won a ton of money, not some Hector money or nothing like that, but a ton of money if Waddle would have scored more than 5.3 DraftKings points. So yeah, I actually don't mind stacking up some Tua here, running it back with the cheap Ridley. I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I definitely will agree with you on that one. Let's go to Carolina and New York Giants. Carolina is 3-point favorites.
Uh-oh.
I mean, you want to start it off, Carolina Giants. There you go.
The Carolina Giants game.
Yeah.
It was I was kind of surprised. Last week I went with more of a DJ Moore instead of the Chuba Hubbard, and Chuba Hubbard went off. I believe he was on the optimal lineup last week. The Giants are a very surprising team. Like they were definitely got to keep an eye out on the injury report, and sometimes they surprise. So it's weird. Like they had a pretty good quarter against the Rams, and then the Rams turned it up. So it's kind of hard not to expect the same thing. But it comes down to how much you believe in Sam Darnold.
Yeah, Darnold was somebody that was like on fire to start the year, but he kind of slowed down like the last 2 weeks. For me on the Panther side, I think you could go back to Hubbard. What he's at 6,100. The Giants have given up the second most DraftKings points to opposing running backs. I think Hubbard's fine, but in terms of the Giants wide receiver, so Tony's going to be out. Tony's somebody that's been looking phenomenal. Galladay is going to be out. Slayton's questionable. I think Shepard's in a phenomenal spot here. 5,600. He had 14 targets last week. So yeah, with all those guys being out, like who are they going to throw the ball to? Evan Ingram, he's not that great. I think Shepard's in a great spot here at 5,600. I'll be looking to take the over. Don't have a number out on it yet, but I'm hoping maybe an over 4.5, 5.5 receptions because I think he hits that pretty easily. But we'll see where they put it.
I like it, Brady. I feel like Chuba, though, man. I feel like Chuba's definitely going to make my roster this week. I feel like we're counting down the weeks until Christian McCaffrey comes back. So until then, I guess we're going to play some Chuba Hubbard in the meantime. But other than that, like you said, the wide receivers were kind of notable. Do you think that pops up a guy like Evan Ingram?
Maybe. He's not great, but maybe.
I don't know, man. You never know sometimes. I feel like Evan Ingram always pops 2 times a year, and this might be 1 to 2 times a year that he'll pop off. But overall, I feel like that's really everything in that game. What are you guys looking at in this KC-Tennessee game? I feel like that's going to be the chalkiest game on the slate. We got Patrick Mahomes, McCole Hardman, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. On the other hand, you already know KC's run defense sucks, so the big dog is the highest priced player on both slates this week. And then A.J. Brown and Julio Jones should both be healthy for this game. So it's a lot of stacking options in this game. What are you guys looking at in this game? I feel like the big question of the slate is, are you going to play the Chiefs offense or the Rams offense? I'll start off with Al Hector.
Yeah, this game is interesting. I was looking at the props this morning, and I laughed when I saw that the books had Derrick Henry at under 125.5 rushing yards.
I don't blame him, though.
That's straight disrespectful to the Kansas City Chiefs run defense. I'm sure everyone's going to be on Derrick Henry. He was just in a primetime game. They saw him eat. He's in a good spot against the Kansas City Chiefs run defense. So I started looking at the Kansas City side, and everyone knows what's good with Kelsey and Tyreek Hill. Either one can ball, but I'm also interested in Demarcus Robinson.
Okay.
He surprised. I was kind of surprised that in the past 2 weeks. He outsnapped McCole Hardman. I was a little surprised by that, and you saw what Diggs did to
The
Emmanuel
Tennessee
Sanders.
Titans on the primetime game.
He had a good. Emmanuel Sanders had a good game too. So Demarcus Robinson's 8 dots is sitting at around 12 yards. So I'm hoping he catches a deep ball and maybe a touchdown to get that value. I already threw on his over 17 and a half receiving yards. And last week he had 46 yards and a touchdown. The week before was
6 targets too.
Yeah, correct. The week before it was against the Bills and it was the rain game, so I don't think that game counts in my opinion. Against him, and then he had a 17-yard game and then another 46-yard game. So if he can get that 50, 60 yards and a touchdown, I'll be happy.
I think there will be value in the Chiefs slot wide receiver. I remember doing the Monday Night Football video last week, and one of the things I found out was the Tennessee Titans secondary, even though that they're bad, they're most acceptable to the slot wide receiver, and we smashed Cole Beasley. We played him in DFS. We played his anytime touchdown spot. So that would be some deeper research I'll look into for the weekend, who the slot wide receiver is going to be for the Chiefs in these 3 wide receiver sets. But Brady, any meat left on the bone here for you, or what are you looking at in this game?
I think you guys covered pretty much everything. I'm going to go back to Mahomes. Went on him last week. It's not like he did bad, but Williams did get 2 touchdowns. He still scored 28 DraftKings points. Yeah, I like the fact you brought up Robinson 3,400, also Hardman 4,300. I think both those guys are in play because Hill, he is questionable. He is a little bit beat up. And we saw last week he still played a little bit over half the snaps, but when he was on the field, he's getting a ton of targets. So I'm not worried about Hill, but I think it's going to give some opportunities to other guys like Hardman and Robinson as well. So yeah, I'm on those guys down there below for some value. Of course, don't mind going back to Kelsey as well. But yeah, I think you guys covered pretty much everything. Henry's, you pretty much gotta play him in cash. I think you could get away from him in some tournaments. I could see a scenario where the Titans fall behind, they kind of abandon the running game, but I find it hard to see them abandoning Derrick Henry here. So yeah, I think you guys covered it.
Let's go to this Washington-Green Bay game. I believe this is one of the last 2 games on the 1 o'clock slate of games. Washington, Antonio Gibson actually will be in the lineup. He was the cover boy for Wednesday's video. We won't get the Antonio Gibson value that we all deservedly so wanted. But I think I'm going to start it off with Brady for this one. Your boy's in this game. We've been putting the tight end position. And, man, what's another week without playing our boy? I even bet a prop on him last week because that's how much he's been smashing.
Yeah, man, Seals Jones has been making me money not only on DraftKings, but he was my only bet last week. I think I had like the over 4.5 receptions. He got it pretty easily.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, don't mind going back to him. He's 3,700. I still think he's way too cheap. He's got 15 targets in the last 2 games, got a touchdown as well last week. So, yeah, don't mind going back to him. I think a very interesting play is so Gibson's playing, but he is obviously playing through some injuries. He's very beat up. I think McKissick could be interesting at 5,000.
We're still doing it.
Yeah, even last week.
Doing it.
10 targets, 8 receptions. He had 8 carries as well, so 18 or 16 total touches. He's 5K. If they do fall behind, I can see McKissick getting a ton of targets. And on top of that, McLaurin as well. McLaurin's beat up. McLaurin looked horrible last week against the Chiefs. So, yeah, I think McKissick for me is like a very I think he's going to be very low owned as well. I might have some shots on him.
Yeah, nah, man. I don't blame you. When I started running through like game stacks in this one, I feel like Devontae Adams' price tag, just how close they have the wide receivers price this week, it's just going to drive up Devontae Adams' ownership. So I feel like ultimately I'm going to get into some game stacks in this game. Aaron Rodgers' price tag is pretty cheap as well. Terry McLaurin's in this game. But El Hector, is there anything that really stood out to you in this Washington Green Bay game, or is this more of type of a game that you're going to mini stack?
Yes to your first question. Something did catch my eye, and that is Robert Tonyan on this season, the Washington football team. has given up 405 yards to the tight end position, which is averaging 67.5 yards per game and 5.8 receptions. They've only given up one touchdown to the tight end position, but the yards are there. Uh, this is a good buy low spot on Robert Tonyan in terms of NFL props. They have him listed at over under 19 and a half. His A dot is, I forget the number off the top of my head, but it is above 10. I think it's around 12 yards. So 2 catches that over 19 and a half should cash. Already locked that puppy in. And I'm going to have to look at the Washington tight ends they faced to see if I'm going to play him in DFS.
I'll definitely will be playing Ricky Seals-Jones over Tanya, but I don't blame you from an ownership discount. You probably could stack Rodgers and Tanyan and Adams and had a lot of ownership on Ricky Seals-Jones this week. But let's go over to this Jets New England game. Not a game that I really had on my radar. Probably one of the ones that I'm going to cross off. Probably the first game I'm going to cross off my list, to be honest with you. Nothing really stood out to me too much in this game. Jamison Crowder's price tag actually stood out to me a little bit on DraftKings this week. Shouts to Big Show and Line Star app for that one. And then I don't think I'm going to go back to the well with Hunter Henry. Last week I did it, but that was more because it was a 4:00 game. It was one of the last games on the slate. Just so lucky I ended up having the game that went into overtime, and that ended up being my best lineup. So there is some value in playing these 4:00 games, even though some of the projections don't look the same as the 1:00 games. There is value to playing some people and getting some exposure to the overtime game. That's always what you want to do, but that's probably the hardest thing to predict, harder than touchdowns. But is there anything this Jets and New England game that's really popping off to you guys? I know Damian Harris is coming into this one with a Q tag. That would be the only person I would be looking at. Is there anything that stood out to you guys? I'll start it off with Al Hector.
It's kind of tough to really attack the Patriots on DFS. They've been playing great games, but they love to run, and Mac Jones, he's been very efficient with his attempts, but it's not that many completions. He's been very good with what he's done, but the volume just isn't there. I like him as a player, but in terms of DFS, I might look elsewhere. That being said, if they find success on the ground and Mac Jones continues to do his thing, they're gonna kill clock. And you know that how Bill Belichick is against rookie quarterbacks. So that's a defense that I'm definitely interested in.
Brady, how about you? What are you looking at in this game?
Absolutely nothing.
I can't sell you on some Jacoby Myers at 5,700, man. I think he's in the 4K range on DK this week. No Jacoby Myers for you this week?
He's all right, man. He's okay. This game as a whole, I just don't love anything in it.
I don't blame you. Let's get into the 4:00 games. I think that's where the more interesting games are going. My Philadelphia Eagles are going to take a trip to Las Vegas, taking on the Raiders. One of my favorite games to attack on Daily Fantasy this week. I think this is going to be the sneaky game stack of the week. Jalen Hurts, $6,900. What an egregious price tag on DraftKings. You can kind of get away from that price tag on FanDuel, only being $100 less than Lamar Jackson. But that DK price tag really stood out to me when it came to him. One of the sneaky guys that I'm looking to stack him with at the wide receiver position. We talked about Devontae Smith on Wednesday, but also another guy that kind of popped up on my radar was Quez Watkins, man. We've been on the Quez train for a little bit now since the preseason. I think it's definitely time to hop up on the bandwagon once again. Quez Watkins could be a cheap GPP ownership pivot for some of the chalk wide receivers this week. One of my favorite tight ends of the slate, I would probably say my favorite tight end of the slate, is going to be Dallas Goedert at $5,900 on FanDuel this week. He's going to absolutely smash against the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe if you don't like Dallas Goedert, you can go over to Darren Waller. Darren Waller also popping up this week. And then the running back for the Raiders, Josh Jacobs, finally gets a good matchup. He has been getting egregious matchups, been in and out the lineup, but the Eagles Eagles let up the most rush attempts in the league, so sets up for a great spot for Josh Jacobs. Is there anything that you guys are really looking at on this game besides anything that I already named?
No, man, I think you nailed it with especially the Hurt side. Like he's way too cheap. I think he's a great cash play. Obviously, you get that rushing yard upside, and then I'm with you, Billy. I think Goddard is in a very very good spot. He's cheap. No more Zach Ertz. I'm going to be looking to hit the overs on his props when they do come out, and then I'm also going to have some of them in DFS. So you have 4,600 for Goddard. I think it's a great spot, a great matchup, and again, no Zach Ertz, which is huge.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. That's actually probably one of the first things. That's probably one thing I will give you a guarantee on this Friday show. I will have a Dallas Goddard prop on that Sunday NFL Pub show. But Hector, what are you looking at in this game here, particularly?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. Both tight ends are in a great spot. The Raiders have given up 407 yards and 4 tutties to the tight end position. And the Eagles have given up 322 yards and 5 touchdowns to the tight end position. I'm just curious when this Darren Waller 200-yard game is going to come, and I'm hoping it's this week. That'd be cool to see. I haven't heard Darren Waller in a minute.
I definitely will agree with you on that.
He could ball.
One thing that I was also looking at was Darius Slay. I know we've been always cracking on Darius Slay, but this year, actually, he's been looking really good against wide receiver number ones. So maybe if you're looking for a sneaky game stack and you thought about playing Henry Ruggs, I would kind of stay off of that. I'd be kind of more inclined to play the Bryan Edwards and Hunter Renfrows of the world. I know Hunter Renfrow doesn't have the highest ceiling, but just his floor on this slate could definitely open up a lot of things for you. But let's go over to this Detroit and LA Rams game, probably one of the most popular teams on the slate is going to be the Rams. They have the highest implied team total on the slate, and the Chiefs also have one of the highest implied team totals on the slate. To be honest with you, I think those are the 2 highest implied team totals all season so far, and we're in week 7 already. Man, I feel like this NFL season's flying by. We're already almost to Thanksgiving week. But as I digress a little bit, Brady, what are you looking at here on this LA Rams side?
There's so many ways you can attack it. So I'm really high on Stafford. I'm really high on Cooper Kupp. I think you can stack both those up. I think Robert Woods is fine as well. Robert Woods has finally started to get it together a little bit. Had a touchdown last week, had a touchdown 2 weeks ago, 3 touchdowns now on the year. So yeah, I don't mind, attacking this game through the air, but somebody who's going to be in pretty much every single one of my lineups is going to be Darrell Henderson Jr. I think last time I checked, like they're huge favorites in this game. They're at home. I think they're going to give Henderson the ball and give him the ball a lot. 21 rushing attempts last week. I can see about that, or maybe even more this week. I think they're going to get out ahead, run the ball, and I think Henderson's going to find the end zone maybe once or twice. So yeah, I like Henderson quite a bit, but I think you can also attack it through the air. I think Cooper Kupp is 8,400. He's had at least 10 targets in every single game this year. I think Kupp's great as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Darrell Henderson is my personal favorite running back of this whole entire slate for DraftKings and FanDuel. Hector, what are you looking at here for this Detroit and LA Rams game? A lot of pieces on this team. Actually, last week in the high dollar competition, there was either 2 routes you could go to win the tournament. It was either playing Dak Prescott, which was in the Millionaire Maker lineup, or you would have to have the Stafford, Henderson, and Cooper Kupp stack. So what are you looking at in this one?
I was a little hesitant. When I was watching the game, I felt like such an idiot because, I was a little hesitant on Darrell Henderson because of the previous injury news, the rib he had a rib injury. I wasn't sure how that was going to affect his playing time. I knew they were going to kick the Giants' butt, so I had a little bit more Sonny Michel ownership to kind of ease up. I was thinking they were going to ease up his workload, but you could kind of throw that all out the window. 21 rush attempts last week. I'm going to definitely look to attack him this week.
If you're looking for stacks, usually we always talk about quarterback to 2 wide receivers and 2 run backs for stacks. I actually wouldn't, if you're in your optimizer, I actually would put Darrell Henderson in a stack with Matthew Stafford. Darrell Henderson's been using the passing game a lot. We actually ran pure last week with him catching a receiving touchdown, and I definitely think that is in the cards against this Proers Detroit Lions team. But if you are looking to run it back with Detroit Lions players, I do like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown, man, sneakily has been behind DeAndre Swift as the most reliable wide receiver for this team. He had 7 targets for 5 receptions and only 26 yards last week. But the week before that, he had 8 targets, 7 catches, 65 yards, and he has yet to find that box so far. So if he can get a touchdown on one of these weeks, man, at $5,400 on DK this week in a game stack, I definitely will be getting to some Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can't have 3 Rams players without running at least 1 Detroit Lions player. And I don't know, Big Show, I hope you're hearing this. I don't know if we talked a little bit too much shit early, but I don't know if I'm going to play TJ Hawkinson this week. It might be a little wait of the see approach for me this week, but am high on the talent. But let's get into the Chicago versus Tampa Bay game. Tampa Bay, 7-point home favorites. I think they are one of the biggest home favorites on the slate this week. Does this mean Uncle Benny's coming out of the time machine once again? Back-to-back weeks, Uncle Benny has found the end zone. People always talk smack on Uncle Benny, a.k.a. Leonard Fournette, but he's found the end zone back-to-back weeks here, and he could definitely find the end zone once again against this Chicago defense. And then on the Chicago side, Khalil Herbert, man, he's been looking red hot. Can he continue it against this Tampa Bay front? Who knows? And then also on the Chicago side, one of the Q tags that we definitely have to monitor throughout the week is going to be Darnell Mooney, one of my sneaky GPP plays that I'm looking at in the 4 o'clock slate. What are you guys looking at here? I'm going to start off with Brady because I know Brady, he always has a good read on these Tampa Bay teams.
Yeah, so I think they made it pretty easy on us. So Antonio Brown is out. So this makes no sense. Why is Chris Godwin 5,900? Like, this makes 0 sense. And that was even before. I thought it made 0 sense before Brown was ruled out. So imagine how high I'm on him now. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna load up Chris Godwin. The price makes no sense, and the fact that Brown's out, I think, is a smash spot. So Godwin for me, I think Evans is fine as well. I don't mind stacking up Brady, Godwin, and Evans, and then running it back with a Mooney, who I really do like this week as well. Mooney's been looking really good. Robinson's questionable himself. So yeah, but yeah, Godwin is probably one of my favorite plays on the slate with value involved and everything like that.
Me and Big Show actually had this argument this morning about Chris Godwin. I don't know how we even got to this. This is Discord stuff for you, man. I was saying to him, like, no, like Chris Godwin at 5,700 is probably the best wide receiver on the slate, point per dollar wise. And I definitely will agree with you on that one. El Hector, what are you looking at in the Chicago Tampa Bay game?
Yeah, it's tough because they don't have Gronk. Well, it actually makes it easier for us because there's no Gronk.
Makes it easier.
Yeah, so it's either gonna be Mike Evans or I always forget his name. You just talked about him. What's his name?
Godwin?
Yeah. It's gonna be either him, Godwin, and then Fournette. Like, I'm expecting the similar game script as the Eagles game, the primetime game. Fournette is he won me some cheese, so I'm faithful to the gang right now.
I definitely would be faithful to the gang if you won me $250,000 in the MVP slot too. But let's go over to this last game. Houston versus Arizona. Not a game I have a lot of interest in if I did play somebody on this team. It would be Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds, I know he had a Q tag coming into the week, but he actually did practice today and was removed off the injury report list. Chase Edmonds definitely could be a name that could go under-owned this week considering the matchup against the Houston Texans side. I know we're not playing anybody from this team. Am I correct? How do you guys feel about this one, Brady and El Hector? I'll start off with Brady first.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody from Houston. I guess one play that is intriguing at least is going to be Zach Ertz, 3,900. So Houston has given up the most DraftKings points to opposing tight ends. We saw that, Max Williams was looking really good at the tight end position. So of course there's question marks, how much is Ertz going to be used this week? But I feel like if they do use him here, it's a great spot. He's very cheap. Maybe he hasn't looked the best the past year and a half, 2 years, but I feel like it's a solid spot. So I'll probably sprinkle some Ertz, nothing like I'd play in cash or anything like that, but I think Ertz is something to at least take note of.
I think Arizona is going to make a deep playoff run this year. I think we'll get our Ertz slates eventually. I don't know if I want to go to the well this week. I think his heart's still in Philadelphia. Follow Ertz on Instagram, and my man pulled up to practice and was out there at the practice with the Eagles band on still. So, I feel like he's got some heart wounds. But maybe, Brady, that could play into your narrative, and he can absolutely smash on this slate with some heart wounds. Because you know what they say, the easiest way to fix a broken heart is to smash. But Hector, what are you looking at here in this Houston-Arizona game?
Yeah, last week I tried getting cute. It kind of did pay off. I was big on AJ Green last week. I hammered his over 35.5 receiving yards. He finished with 50 and a touchdown. He's still relevant. It's kind of crazy that I'm still processing that he's on this team. The Texans have given up their completion percentage to passes over 20 yards this year is 66.7%. So that's pretty good. So with this offense, you just got to figure out who that's going to be. The opportunity is there.
Yeah, I just have a hard time thinking that Arizona is going to go full-fledged in this game because they actually play the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night. So if you see Arizona get up early in this game, I could definitely see them packing up their bags and having the reserve roles playing. That's why I wasn't really too interested in Zach Ertz because I think I'm going to play him on Thursday night in that showdown game against the Green Bay Packers. But before we get into the prop preview part of the weekend, quick shout-outs to our sponsors over at Manscaped. Welcome, my main man, David Sharp, to the show. Sharpie, we're going to go straight to you because NBA Block is in about 20 minutes, and Bill's got a lot of lineups that he's got to put in. And the NBA, what's the NBA slate without typical injury news on a 10-game slate that doesn't make any sense? I don't know, but as I digress, Sharpay, what are you looking at here for the prop preview this weekend? Don't give away all the secret goods, but get on the goods that are going to move the line because, most of the props on the books have really dropped today, and you know what they say about the props. Them boys be moving quicker than 12 when they're trying to pull somebody over. So, Sharpie, after you died off your dab right there, what are you looking at for the prop preview this week? Don't get too high on me now.
Nah, I'm used to seeing two videos. I thought I had an extra 30 seconds to die. But I'm looking at the same game real quick, guys. I'm looking at Sam Darnold's rush yards over 15.5 minus 115 on DK. His last 3 games, he's got 12 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2 touchdowns. Okay, so we're going to throw a half unit on his touchdowns at plus 310 too, because if he's got 2 touchdowns in 3 games, might as well put a little bit on there. And the fact that the game is lined at a 3.5, so I expect this game to be close. I expect it to be back and forth. Then we're going to go to Daniel Jones rush yards over 19.5. 19.5, but he's only averaging 13.3 his last 3 games. That's what I like to see, though. I like to see when they average not to where the number is. People look to run from that type of shit. I look at game script. I look at he got dogged in a lot of those games, and he wasn't running. Go back 3 games ago to New Orleans when the game went to overtime. He had 4 carries, 27 yards. That cashes, fellas. So I expect a close game. I expect Daniel Jones to run in a close game. And I expect Sam Darnold to keep doing what Sam Darnold does. And he's been running.
I like what I hear from you, Sharpie, because for the people that don't know, on the NFL Pub Hub right now, me and Sharpie are 1-2 and only separated by 0.4 of a unit. I think it's even smaller than that, to be honest with you. And it all starts here on this PSR Stacks and Facts shows. So I like what I hear from you, Sharpie. I tailed you last night on the Ernest Johnson over 10.5 receiving yards. And I didn't even watch the game. Who even watches the games, bro? Who even watches the games, bro? You wake up with money in your account when you're messing with David Sharp. Fuck the Bookie Store 2021. Enjoy your weekend in Vegas, Sharpie, because you know what they said. It's Nurmagomedov fight week. Who's talking about the UFC? We got Bellator 258. But as I digress a little bit, Hector, what are you looking at in the prop market this week?
So I went over them in the video a little bit. I punched my ticket on 4 props already. T. Higgins over 4.5 receptions. I like his receptions over his yards because they had his yards at 52.5. His A-dot is sitting at around 8 yards. So he will need at least like about 6. This is just based on numbers, but he'll need like 6 receptions for that yard prop to hit. So I'm just going to go with the over 4.5 receptions. I think this is a really good game with him. And in the games that he's played with Chase, he actually out-targeted him by 1. I like Robert Tonyan over 19.5. If he catches 2 balls, that should get there. And then I put in – this is my biggest play of the week. So Demarcus Robinson over 17.5 receiving yards.
He's spicy on him.
I threw 3 units on that bad boy. So he outsnapped Macaulay Hardman the last 2 weeks. And I also threw 2 units on his longest reception over 12.5. His ADOT is like 12.68. So I like that one a lot.
Go get paid, Heck. Go get paid. Shit. If you grab that Tesla, save a spot in the back for me.
I sold Tesla Heck.
Yeah, Tesla Heck. Save a spot for me in the middle, even if I got to sit back there. I'll sit back there with a couple females. But L Hector, make sure you follow him over at Capo Capping on Twitter. If he has any more added plays to his slate, he always gives out his plays for free and stuff like that. So, Brady, let's go up to you, my main man in the top left with the sweater on. He's looking like he's going for blood on the bookies this week. Brady, what do you got on your agenda for the prop preview this weekend?
Yes, I have 2 bets, man. I think it is a Darrell Henderson Jr. week this week. So I took the over 82.5 rushing yards, and then also the anytime touchdown minus 125. Like they're 16-point favorites. It's a 50.5 point total. The Lions rank dead last in terms of rushing yards and points given up to running backs. So I think Henderson's going to run all over him. He had 21 attempts last week. If he gets that this week, I'd be shocked if he didn't smash it over. So, yep, pretty big on Henderson. My only 2 bets thus far. I'm going to also look at some Goddard props once those come out. But, yeah, Henderson for me.
I'm right there with you, Brady. God damn, man. I saw you on the highway and you started passing me, and I was like, what car is that trying to pass me? And then I saw it, and it was a nice car, and I was like, I'll let it slide. But I'm in the car right there with you. Darrell Henderson, anytime touchdown, minus 125. I actually gave that on Jimmy's show last week. And you know what? Your boy cashed pretty early, man. That was a first half casher. We're going to go right back to the well again. For me personally this week, I think I'm going to venture into the sides, man. And, it's Friday, so the ticket's not placed. We got time till the football comes on. But from a side perspective, I'm going to have to do it to him, man. Just one last time. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'm going to have to bet them against the Tennessee Titans this week. I think the Chiefs are going to come out hot and smack this Tennessee Titans defense, man. I can see these receivers running all over the Titans. The same exact way I can see Derrick Henry running all over the Chiefs defense. But you know what they say? If you leave the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hand at the end of the game, more times than not, you're probably going to lose. Ask Tom Brady that question. And you probably lost a lot of games. I wish we had a spreadsheet fact for that one, man. Where's that fact at? I'm going to save that comment for myself, though, in the Discord and leave it for that. But until next time, till next Wednesday, you can catch me and Brady on the show. And then every Friday, we try to bring in El Sharpe and El Hector because, man, I'm telling you, there's nothing better than coming into the Discord in the morning and seeing Hector with the cup of coffee and his shirt off, and he is going absolutely in on the numbers. It's going to be a profitable weekend. That's why you need to hit the like button and the bell notification here at Pub Sports Radio. And if you want to get paid and get that cash, like my boy Maxwell Smart said, make sure you tune in tonight, Friday night, college basketball, man. That's where my brain's at. I forgot it's basketball season. College basketball top 25 countdown, cupcake edition with Maxwell Smart. Go get that money, honey, because it ain't going to be there for too long. College basketball season is really not that long of a season. But as I digress a little bit, where can they find all you gentlemen at? Al Sharpe, let's start it off with you. What do you got going on for the weekend?
You got bets to get in, Mr. Hyped Up, that you've got basketball going. But y'all can find me at Sharpie's Bets on Twitter or at your local bar, picking up their local whales. Where else can you find me the next morning? SeaWorld, guys, because that's where you got to drop them off. So Vegas bound, baby. We be fucking pubbing. Catch me all over Pub Sports in Vegas this weekend because that's where I'll be at broadcasting.
I like it. El Hector to the top of me. No homo. where can they find you at?
Capo capping on Twitter. That's where I be. That's
And let's see if I can do this one correctly with the screen being reversed. Yeah, I did it right. Brady, where can they find you at?
Twitter, DFS_numbers, YouTube, DFS for the numbers, going live in like 15 minutes to go over the UFC Vegas 41 card.
Well, Brady, since we're 40 minutes into the show, and if people made it this far into the show, what is your UFC Vegas 41 lock of the week? It could be anything. It could be a parlay piece. It could be a prop piece. It can be anything.
What am I slapping on the big ticket, Brady? Come on. We in Vegas tomorrow morning.
There's no such thing as a lock, Billy. You know that. But my biggest play is going to be Herbert Worthy. Fight doesn't go to decision. I got it at minus 240. I think it's like minus 260 right now.
Okay, Brady. My lock of the weekend is going to be Usman Nurmagomedov, but that already comes with me being on the show.
He's like minus 2,000, right?
Hey, don't tell anybody.
Hey.
Yeah, nothing's ever out of a price tag. If you say Kayla Harrison or Usman Nurmagomedov, I'm going Nurmagomedov every time. But as I digress a little bit, make sure you guys definitely hit the bell notification and then tune in for the clean sheets and get ready for your soccer for this weekend. But until next week, we're out. We be pubbing.